Okay, so I did an oopsie and I accidentally paused the recording at some point, I guess when I was trying to like exit out of the thing. So you saw something that was me having progressed quite a little bit forward, which also means I'm gonna have to do all the choices again, but that means it will fast forward through the ones I've already read, and because that's just how it works. And I don't remember where they are. The choices, rather the differences aren't that big. Sorry, let me just move the mic. Yeah, the differences aren't that big. It was just some of the journal entries that ended up being different. But I guess if you want to, read them without having being fast forwarded through, you can do that of your own if you like. I feel like I forgot the button that I changed to pause the recording. Like I forgot which one it was, and I guess it must have accidentally like grazed it and pushed down a bit too hard on it as I was trying to exit out of something. I'm pretty sure it's my tilde key. Probably not great, but we're gonna start again. So these beginning bits are new, but sadly it's just basically her being mean, and I got an achievement that said like angry start. Okay, we must not linger. He is the same as everyone. There are no more good people in the world, child. Of course I do. Didn't I tell you to leave? Okay. There's really not a lot that is different. And then it starts choosing the same stuff here as last time, I'm pretty sure. Like the same stuff we chose last time. I'm glad you're back to me. Look at how unperturbed he is. Apparently these are the ones that matter. But I don't think anything after a certain point matters. We'll see though. Leave now. Console her. Open it. It's obvious she will abandon you and family is more important. Okay, that's where the walkthrough ends, so I can only assume that things don't matter past this point. That's all I can really assume. Okay, just choose whatever, honestly. We're pretty much gonna choose what I chose in the previous one. Okay, see, we're here already. Take the key. Okay. And some of the previous journal entries were new. It was just him being in like Germany, I think. It was more of the same-ish type of thing. And we'll see that we can no longer skip when this is faded. When it comes back, it means we can skip because we've seen stuff before. Okay, 4th of May, 1490. As years pass, it is beginning to dawn on me that humans have holes in their souls and they are desperate to fill them with whatever seems to fit. Women, liquor, money, religion. I too have this gaping hole, and it is in my belly. I am always hungry, always hollow. We really are not that much different. Was this the one I just got up to? I think this was the one I just got up to. See, and we can skip again because she's saying the same type of thing, and then it stops when we come up against this. The 9th of December, 1506. I am inside the royal court now. Rather than serving it, the abundance is staggering. I have never seen such riches since Constantinople. I can handle myself better now. I have been catching up with the times. I have been reading books, conversing, attending social events. It is time to acquaint myself with the new era and quit wallowing in depression and guilt. Frankly, it doesn't suit my new haircut. Alright. There's another new one, 21st of November, 1550. I don't want to live anymore. My days are nothing but emptiness. I have told myself before that there is nothing else needed but to survive. But is that the truth? Is this all there is? If so, then Alex, please let me follow you into the darkness where death dines on souls. Please forgive me. Forgive me. Why must human lives be so fragile? It was an accident. I didn't mean to. I got careless. I shouldn't have stayed that long. Okay. Obviously read more. We're gonna get new ones, right? Or not. But this is new. She decided to close the book. She had read enough for now. Okay. More entries to unlock. Okay. Interesting. Again, I don't really know what to do here. I'm just gonna choose the ones I chose last time. Whatever. Oop, I didn't mean to do that one. Sorry. We can't skip this. You are me. You simply crave punishment. But she said that before. This is the same one. This is the same thing. What? I'm so confused. This is not the complete ending. And there's no explanation for it at all. I'm very confused. Let me try and find it myself. Cupid walkthrough. Alright. Oops, I need to bang my desk there. Okay, so this one has the actual full friggin' thing, so we're gonna go through that right now. I don't understand why why nobody has complained about that walkthrough and being like, hey, you're missing a few steps. I'm just like a little bit confused there. Okay, haven't you learned your lesson, idiot? I wish it would auto skip after your choices. I wish there was the choice for that. Maybe there is. Yes, thank you. Okay, then stop your didn't do it that time. We must not linger. He is the same as everyone. There are no more good people in the world. Of course I do. Didn't I tell you to leave? She led you astray. I'm glad you are back to me. Look how unperturbed he is. Ah, oh, retribution. I knew it. Leave now. I do think this is an incredibly well-written visual novel. It's probably up there, honestly. Like, the way they describe things. Alright, this is so annoying. That choice wasn't there. I just don't want to keep getting the same ending. I don't want to keep getting transcendence. My cat is just twitching in her sleep. this one. You hate him? Take the key first. Read more. Do it for me. To destroy him, of course. Yes, it is. No, you're not. You'll never change. You cannot change him, child. Okay, this is different. This is his nature. That kind of creature has no redemption. What do you intend to do? Will that even work? Plead? I don't know. I understand. So be it. I don't trust him. Won't you at least find something to defend yourself with? He is quite volatile. It would put me at ease if you get yourself a weapon. Rosa thought for a while. That is reasonable enough. I shall find one. Maybe that's what changes it. It gave me the same ending. I'm so mad. But it's not the same ending. What? Wait, I'm so confused. This one is called Dawning. Oh, maybe it's not the same ending. Because I was thinking that ending 1 was called Transcendence or whatever, but it's called Temperance. Oh, that's where I was going wrong. I skimmed over it. Okay. Alright, well, this is the next ending, I guess. Okay, so, God, I need to stop stressing over a freaking game. Okay, Gwilemy woke up with the dream still fading from his memory. He was not in his room, but in Catherine's. This did not surprise him. Whoever cast the spell did not do so on a whim. To take him away from his sanctuary was to render him weaker. A pure white candle flickered on the table. Its flame looked as though it was ready to go out. I couldn't save you. I tried. Rosa stepped out of the shadows. You! Wilmy stared at her with irritation. What is the meaning of this, Rosa? This is your doing? She looked at him with sadness. I was too weak to save you, Gwilemy. Save me from what? From what you are? Gwillemy's face crumpled into confused anger. I didn't expect such contempt from someone I trusted. Do you expect me to ask your forgiveness for what I've done, sire? Because I won't. I will stand by what I did. I will do it again if I can, but such a spell requires much preparation. You are not to do that again, do you hear me? I will not allow myself to be subjected to such an insult. I'm not trying to do something that petty. I'm trying to save you. Do not know what you're talking about. If you persist in this foolish behavior, then I will be forced to take action. Go ahead, but I will simply try again. Stop it. Gwilemy grabbed her shoulders in irritation and shook her. They stared at each other in heavy silence, and Gwilemy somewhat regretted his forcefulness. This is like, a lot of this is just the same. When is it going to change? But Rosa did not flinch or look away, even at his outburst. There was no fear or fragility in her eye at all. She held her steady gaze until it was Gwilemy who looked away. Why are you doing this? You should know how pointless it is. I had to try, Gwilemy. If there is a way to save you, I am inclined to take it. I had hoped Catherine's memory might work on you. Gwilemy, I can cast a spell to give you her memory, so you don't have to resort to feeding. Gwilemy recoiled from her like her skin was scalding to the touch. How did you? Rosa just stared at him, her eye clear and resolute. I know what you are, because we are the same. We are creatures that emanate desire and feed on love. I have lived with this curse knowing only a semblance of what I am. Mother taught me how to control it, even in her own twisted way. I was lucky, Gwilemy. I wasn't alone. But you were. Rosa's eye bloomed with sadness. I can only imagine how hard that must have been. Gwilemy staggered back in shock. Though there was another one like him. A desperate hope clutched onto him like talons. Was that why he had taken to her so without wanting to feed on her? That's why I am doing this, Gwilemy. I wanted to give you Catherine's memory, like how Mother's memory keeps me sustained. Love doesn't have to be taken like this. There are other ways. Gwilemy frowned indignantly. Don't you think I've tried that? You're still very young, I can tell. I have already endured centuries of this curse. I know all the tricks to survive. From strangers to the villagers, I know how much I can take. I am meticulous. Then why must you insist on this method? With no reason to stand for ceremony, Willemy's face changed easily. Rosa's jaw clenched. She was talking to a stranger now. His face lost the virtue that once belonged to a blameless man. It was replaced by a curious, cheeky grin, a perpetual look of childlike mischief. This man irritated her, and yet, somehow, Rosa felt like she had known him for a lifetime. He'd always been there, hadn't he? A lot of this dialogue is the same, and yet there's no skip option. I'm very confused. Or rather, it had always been him. Why? Because it's fun. And the taste is worlds better. The experience of drawing out love is unlike any human feeling. It is transcendent. It is the only moment I feel alive. The only moment I feel like a god. Once you've had a taste of it, nothing else compares. You must try it. I bet you can only afford to be self-righteous because you don't know any better. You're wrong. I did it to Catherine. I tasted her love, but I was able to stop myself in time. I knew it would destroy her. So, that was you, It makes sense that Catherine's love for me waned. That never happened before. Desire can be controlled, Gwillemy. I do not wish to control it. Why should I? Admit it, you've longed for that taste since your tongue dipped in its pot. This is all the same. I'm so confused. I'm actually thinking this isn't, new now. Rosa did not speak. She shifted nervously on her feet. Gwillemy went on. We are given this curse to endure, Rosa. Why must we scutter in the corner and humble ourselves? To whom do we abdicate ourselves to? To normal people? They are beneath us. For all their achievements and talents, love is the one thing that can drive them mad, don't you see? Their weakness is the one thing we feed on. It is the natural order. Gwillemy stepped closer to her and touched her bare arm. He tried to hide his bliss. I told you before. If you need power, then be powerful. I will teach you how to wield it. You still have much to learn. If you will join me, Rosa, just imagine what we can do. We will be powerful, you and I. Rosa's momentary confusion faded. This is all the same. The hard look appeared on her face once again. I will never join you. You use people for your gain. So? Willemy's voice couldn't keep from rising. What of it? Isn't it the rule of human existence? It's all a game, Rosa. A game I play to win. So people's lives are a game to you. Gwillemy shrugged. Of course they are. Humans use and abuse and they throw away on whim. They destroy for no apparent reason except that they want to. It took me the longest time to understand why. I realized it is simply their nature. Humans don't play fair, but I do, and I still get ahead. Rosa's eye narrowed at Gwillemy. How can you throw people away so easily? Don't you see that there are good people, like Catherine? You are afraid to remember. You are afraid to give them the worth they deserve. You rejected her memory, content to forget her value. Gwillemy was silent for a few moments. Then he gave a low snicker. Oh, I don't remember this. I don't think I do anyway. Rosa, Rosa, Rosa. That is an amusing thesis. He looked at her dumbfounded face pitifully. Another chuckle escaped. Gwillemy couldn't help it. You got me all wrong, Rosa. I do not undervalue people. In fact, I love them. I revere them. I am grateful. They sustain me, after all. That alone deserves all the appreciation and care I can give. I loved Catherine with every fibre of my being. She was a kind soul. She tasted perfect. But I think you underestimate how long I've been on this dirty, forsaken rock. Good people are not rare and precious treasures. As such, they are not to be handled any differently from the rest. What? And all this talk about worth. Do you mean some people are worth more than others because they are kind? What if from now on I only consume bad people? Or how about those in the lowest caste of society? Ruffians, rapists, thieves. It is easy to be kind when you are privileged. But those poor, unworthy souls, surely no one would miss them. Would that make you feel better? Rosa faltered. That's not what I'm saying. That is exactly what you are saying. You're telling me I shouldn't feed because there are good people out there that deserve better. So, if they're bad, it is all right. How terribly judgmental of you. No, Every human being has a capacity for kindness or cruelty. To judge somebody on such a volatile detail, that is prejudice. After all, a kind man can mull the death of his fellow man no sooner than a criminal can turn a new leaf. The truth is, there are no good or bad people. There are just people. And I'm not picky. Stop saying that. You don't really believe that, do you? You hurt like me. You want acceptance like me. I know deep inside you want something more. More than feeding or a craving. You've written as much in your diary. You sneaky little minx. Didn't I tell you you were not supposed to touch that? Stop. Please stop this, Gwillemy. I implore you. A pleading face stirred something in Gwillemy, but the callousness in his heart had decades to harden. He snorted. Or what? What do you plan to do, little girl? Is this it? Is this your plan? Put on a light show and talk me to death. Surely you didn't think it would be that easy. If you have a different offer, I'm all ears. I thought as much. Well, good talk. Albeit a little pointless, I'm sure you'll agree. Is that what you think of Catherine, then? Nothing but cattle? Willoughby winced despite himself. I loved Catherine. I know you too loved her completely, whether you admit it or not. You can't take love without giving it, can you? Willoughby sighed in annoyance. Just another spoke in the old fun wheel. You're lying if you say you are not the least bit troubled by your actions. That's a start, Gwillemy, the first step. It means you are not as cold as you want to appear. If you admit your guilt and take responsibility for her death. Gwillemy waved her away with an indifferent scoff. I refuse. Her death was her own decision. I had no hand in that. She reaped what she sowed, and I collected, that is all. With this validation, the assured smile came back to his lips. He shrugged. Who knows, maybe she could have gotten better over time. Most people bounce back from the loss of love. Or not. Who really knows? Is it my fault she gave me everything? I didn't ask her to. Which was only fair, like you said, I didn't hold back. It was an equal exchange. Rosa's throat went dry. Oh, love. Love is the strongest force in the world, but it is never pure. Always tainted, always poisoned. What are you talking about? Well, I hate to shatter this vision you have of Catherine, but she wasn't so righteous. She was as selfish as everyone else. What? Think back, Rosa. All of our fights started because of her jealousy. She couldn't stand the thought of somebody else getting a slice of her pie. And why not? Wasn't I convenient for little Miss Parade? Oh, actually, you can't even see the Steam achievements because I have game capture on. Okay. Wasn't I convenient for little Miss Parade? Yes, of course, convenient and perfectly adequate. Sweet, boring, obliging Marquis de Gaulle. Wasn't he so easy to love? He could help her achieve her grand dreams, give her the good life that hovered just beyond her reach. After all, Gwillemy didn't seem to have any plans of his own, did he? As if satisfied to exist only for her. Honestly, what a catch. What an impressive pedestal. Even when the core of this love poisoned her, she made no attempts to leave. I wonder why. Ah, now there's a question. Why indeed? Because she had hope, Gwillemy. She stayed hoping her feelings for you would return. That was how much she loved you. Gwillemy scoffed. How sweet of you to say. You really thought Catherine stayed with me just for love, and not at all because she was scared, insecure, comfortable. Gwillemy tapped his chin in mock contemplation. Or maybe she just wanted so badly to be a marquis's wife. Such a proud girl she was. Must she settle for anything less? That will show all the people who used to scorn and underestimate her. They who called her sister a whore. The ones who called her and her mother mad. That will show them. Rosa took a shaky step back. Mother's words forced themselves into her head. They are all the same. They are all selfish. Rosa bit her lip. It is not true. I won't believe it. Catherine was a kind person. So what? Does it matter? Does being kind justify selfishness? Does being kind even save anyone? You are heartless. Maybe. It has been so long I can't tell. Always the love of self first, Rosa. I don't take it personally. Shut up. Don't you ever get tired of justifying your hunger? So Catherine wasn't perfect, yet you simply passed the blame. All just excuses. The truth is, you just don't want to stop, do you? You're no god, no higher being. You're nothing but a common vampire, a monster. Willemy's face twitched. Feeding on the love of the people who love you, you must know how wrong that is. Willemy's fist shook visibly, but he kept his smile. His voice remained pleasant and calm. So you compare me to storybook monsters now, Rosa? How insulting. But yes, wouldn't it be easier if I dined on blood or flesh? Something tangible, perhaps, something physical. Things would have been so much simpler. After all, if I drank blood, I wouldn't have to tangle with their lives. He turned to Rosa, his eyes burning, and she could feel the heat in his stare. I wouldn't have to be sane. Willemy's voice shook with anger. She flinched. You self-righteous minstrel, how dare you talk to me about guilt? How dare you call me a monster? You chastise me, singing songs of praise for the greater good. Have you ever tasted your own betrayal on the lips of the person you love? Do you know what it's like to strangle hope with your own hands? I look into their eyes and see them die from the inside out. Am I worth it? Am I worth all their lives? Never. But I do it again and again, again and again, just for the right to exist. You read my journal and act like you know me. You know nothing. I wish I was a monster. Maybe then I wouldn't have to feel. The silence reigned between the two of them. Willemy's face went blank after his outburst, almost confused at the words that came out of his mouth. He forced his lips into a placated grin. Pardon me, I didn't mean to shout. He took a deep breath and refused to speak again. Rosa buried her face in her hands. He was right. She had come here with an overestimation of herself. Her ethics were the cries of a child. How could he listen to someone immersed only in her own tender ideals? If she wanted to help him, she had to know his pain. But what could she say? Her mind struggled with the words. They all sounded artificial in her head. All she could do was hold out her hand to reach him, couldn't she? She could offer him hope, a little warmth away from the chunk of ice beating inside of him. She approached him tentatively. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have spoken such hateful words. But don't you see, you don't have to endure this pain anymore. I am offering you a different path, Gwillemy. Let me help you. He didn't speak, nor move. Rosa held on to the pain she saw in his eyes a moment ago. It was her only hope. But if there ever was a trace of it in his face, it had flitted away before it took substance. His abject face contorted into a grin. He chuckled. Then his laughter filled the room, cold, bitter laughter that chilled her skin into a shiver. Rosa drew her hand away in fear. You really don't get it, do you? I meant to say, that is what makes it substantive. It is precious. What? Make no mistake, I endure all this not for something as silly or disposable as blood. Love. Love is worth all the pain. The best wine tastes like dirt from which it was exalted. Rosa's mouth dropped in horror. She stepped away from him. A cold shiver passed her spine. No, 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 Gwillemy. She stared at him, grasping at the flicker of hope that came as fast as it went. He had built a kingdom from the maze in his own heart. Both ruler and prisoner, both exalted and doomed. She could feel the cracks in his armor, the crumbling of a wall. He wanted to get out. Rosa thought she saw light in his darkness, a hand reaching out to be saved. But where was it now? Where was this hope? It was gone. Had it ever been there at all? Or did her desire to help him trick her into seeing what she wanted to see? Rosa bit her lip to steel herself. Oh, don't look at me like that. I had the same morals as you when I was younger, but time smooths out our rough ideologies. I was wrong. I thought I could still save you. You're quite full of yourself if you think you can save people. Willemie took a step towards her, and Rosa's throat closed up. Get away from me. I'm not going to hurt you, Rosa. If you wish to debate philosophy further, we can do so for 1,000 more years. But aren't we ignoring the single most potent truth? We found each other. So many souls running around this earth and we actually managed to meet. You realize how momentous this is. I can give you love, Rosa. Forget Catherine or your mother. They are remnants of a bitter past. How long are you going to hang on to their memories anyway? Love is not something to be thrown away, Guillemie. It endures. I know this because I've loved Mother this long, despite the pain. She was cruel, but now I understand she had my best interests at heart. From under the folds of her dress, Rosa took out a locket. It was the locket he had given her at the cliff. Guillemie stared at it, confused. Remember the person in the picture, Guillemie? Oh, you got it open. Pray tell, who is it? Is it the Queen? This is my mother. What? Guillemie's mind went blank for a moment. I felt something for you from the very beginning. My heart felt close to you. I want to believe that is because we are family. Don't you see? That's why I can't give up on your redemption so easily. I care for you more than you think, Guillemie. Guillemie furrowed his brow. Indeed, the woman in the picture stirred something in his memory, and yet, no matter how much he searched his memories, he could not remember her. Was there such a woman that bore him a child in the past? A sudden hope dug its nails into his chest once again. He answered this hope with contempt, a force of habit. Pardon me, my memory is a bit rusty. What was her name again? Rosa parted her lips in disappointment. Is that all you're going to say? You were carrying my mother's picture all this time. You are my father, Guillemie. That is probably why we are the same. Curiously, there was an urge to take back his haughty words, but Guillemie forced it down. This pain made him uncomfortable. Her tears were starting to hurt him. He laughed and shrugged, and then promptly clenched his jaw. He didn't like how she made him aware of his own failings. A sudden irritation at Rosa came over him, an itch to hurt her. Oh dear me, forgive my cynicism, darling. He scratched his chin to hide his distress. That portrait is quite blurry, and I am barren. Rosa staggered. How much of your mother do you really remember? I don't remember any being birthing me, do you? You must admit the possibility that this mother you speak of was simply a stranger who took you in as her own, Rosa. Fueled by the force of our curse, she was deluded, possessive, and hysterical. I do not deny that I might be the root of her delusion. She must have searched for me, and found you by accident instead. Guillemie shrugged. An alternate theory, but one that makes more sense. What are you saying? Simple. Whoever created a pathetic thing such as me deemed it impossible to scatter my seed. It was just as well. There was a tinge of bitterness in his amused voice. After all, to wish this curse upon somebody else, my child nonetheless, that would make me a different kind of monster altogether. Rosa looked at the locket with shaking hands. She opened her mouth to say something, but promptly closed it. The fight had vanished from her eye. Tears fell as she closed the pendant in her fist. Guillemie fidgeted uncomfortably. If you want to believe it so much, then I can be your father if you so wish. Why did he say that? He admitted that he didn't expect the words to come out. He was only mulling it over in his mind, looking at her dejected face. It was pity, wasn't it? A favour out of pity for this poor lonely girl. Or was it penance? I don't mind. He did his best not to sound distressed. Perhaps a part of him wanted it to be true. Guillemie looked at Rosa and felt the same stirring of affection he had for her through the years. It wouldn't be much of a stretch, would it? He could protect her and care for her like a real father would. Hope began to sprout in his heart again. That dastardly thing grew like a weed. It veered dangerously close to breaking through his pride. Wouldn't it be a miracle? A child of his own flesh and blood, standing before him, full of love, disappointment, and confusion. Exactly how a child would look up to their parent. What a nice sentiment. By this time, Guillemie was already well acquainted with the dying screams of hope. He knew which soft, secret places to push in order to kill it. You don't deserve that. Of course, Guillemie laughed almost a bit too loudly. Rosa winced. Don't look so troubled, my daughter. We're family, aren't we? Enough of such moody, sentimental topics. They bore me. Instead, why don't we start thinking about possibilities? Guillemie, please. She was still bent on changing his mind, but Guillemie could tell her resolve had all but fizzled out. Oh, again? You still haven't given up? I'll admit you have some spirit. It's admirable you'd go to such lengths for me. I mean it when I say I'm honored. But you are so naive. Tragedy is everybody's friend, Rosa. If you stay with him too long, his smell will linger on your skin. I don't care much for tragedies myself. I am more interested in opportunities, and what we have right now is a dawning, a beginning. Willoughby stepped closer to Rosa, touching her cheek with his palm. Rosa was afraid, but she didn't make any attempts to run away this time. Aren't you glad you found me? You are not alone anymore. We are blood. You don't have to hide and cower to subject yourself to the motions of this cruel life. Enough of this fascination for glorified sacrifice. Come with me. Rosa stared up at him. What? Come with me, Rosa. He repeated his words with a cheerful smile. Let us leave this place and go far away, start over. Doesn't that sound grand? It's about time you let go of the bad memories and face something new. Don't you think you owe yourself that much? And what of the victims you will continue to take, Willoughby? What about them? What about them? I care little for strangers. It is you I want to make happy, Rosa. Please let me. I need you as much as you need me. Rosa bit her lip. Mother, I need you right now. Please let me hear your voice. She struggled with the pain in her heart. She was free-falling. Mother. To hear her mother's voice. It had always been the ground she stood on, both the pain on her bare feet and a place to stand. Whether she walked or chose to fly, that ground would be there when she landed. Such was the role of family. It didn't matter if she was her real mother or not. What mattered was the love she gave her. The memories were real. She was... Rosa's jaw clenched. She tasted the caustic realization in her mouth. Rosa. And that was when he felt an icy pain shoot through his chest. He looked down. There was a knife sticking out of him. The knife Rosa had stolen from the kitchen. I'm sorry. The blade clattered to the floor. Rosa's lip quivered. But I have to make this right. Willoughby's body lost all strength. He slumped on the floor, blood staining his shirt red. He just laughed in amusement. Oh, you stupid girl. So this is your response to my generous offer? Oh, how trifling. I expected better from you. Willoughby winced in pain. It's been a while since I was stabbed. She knelt beside him. She didn't speak at once. That wound will not heal like the others, Willoughby. Oh? I must end it here. For Catherine, for Mother, for all your victims, for you. I have to do the right thing. She said this aloud, but she only half believed it. The right thing, Was there such a thing? Rosa revelled in this confusion. The least she could do was carry the burden of her choice for the rest of her life instead of forgetting. She had considered simply leaving him unchanged and a prisoner of his own twisted ideals. She still could. If she reversed the spell now and allowed him to heal, then he would survive. Young, powerful, and healthy, but unchanged and carrying the same shadow in his heart. She had tried, hadn't she? Whatever he did next should be none of her concern. There was a pinch in Rosa's chest. But to know that she doomed him to make the same mistakes forever, to stop caring about him and degrade him into nothing but a failure, it seemed crueler somehow. It would make her like him. Willoughby sat up wordlessly, his back pressed on the wall. This pain was different. The blood hadn't stopped leaking from his chest. He coughed and liquid flooded his lungs. It was getting harder to breathe. A part of him wanted to ask how she found a way to kill him. It seemed quite pointless now, a waste of precious breath. He sat there bleeding, willing himself to anger. He thought of threatening her, demanding her to do something, but he didn't. He was surprised to find something else in his heart. Gratitude, of all things. Rosa held Willoughby's hand as the blood continued to pour out of his wound. Dimly, Willoughby reflected that she really did have spirit, the courage to do what he could not. He used the last of his strength to lift up his hand and wipe away her tears. Don't cry. I'm fine with this. His hand lingered on her face for a while. He searched his heart for anger, for bitterness for this girl, but there was none. How curious it was to feel the steel in his heart and yet no hate for its wielder. How curious it was to know that this was all an act of love. Rosa, you are an anomaly. You confuse me. Maybe if he had listened, would he have... Maybe she was right. He could change. But it was too late for him, wasn't it? It had been too late for him decades ago. Long after he had degraded life, including his own, as pointless and petty. That was the only regret. I wish we had met sooner. He took a deep breath. Pain in his chest throbbed with every breath. Still, it was only a distant buzzing in his mind. The pain was simply white noise. Rosa held his hand tighter. I'm sorry, apologizing again. I thought I've made myself clear with that. Willoughby coughed and tasted metal in his mouth. He chuckled and wiped it away. Rosa, I was never strong enough to endure this life. But it looks like you are. That's good. You'll stay with me for a while, won't you? Please? Why am I getting so emotional? Like, what the hell? Yes, Willoughby. Take my journal with you. It might help. I would still wish for you to start anew. Board the ships, the papers. Take the money in my office. I have something in my eye now. Good. Use it to build a new life. Willoughby coughed out red flecks of blood. He swallowed and his throat felt like it was on fire. He had a lot more to say, a lot more to tell her. He tried to speak as clearly as he could, despite the bulge climbing up his windpipe. Avoid small towns, they don't take to strangers kindly. You'll stick out like a sore thumb. Always present yourself as nobility or a person of influence. Give people another reason to think you're desirable. Otherwise, they will fear and hate you, confused by their own urges. His breathing was getting erratic. Also, remember to... Shh, please rest now. Rosa smiled sadly. You're still so generous, even if you are like this. Willoughby smiled. Like what? He chuckled at the memory. Generosity is the only saving grace of the dying. Or a parent, I suspect. I'm happy I found you, Father. Likewise. The last few years I have spent with you were my happiest. Willoughby stared at her, his vision clear now. He pushed a strand of hair away from her face and touched her cheek fondly. My daughter. Rosa's eye filled with tears at this. You are beautiful. At the end, I got to meet you. To know that something good came from my existence. It is not so bad. I love you, Rosa. As do I, Father. Please, be free. Death gave the heart a final gift of bliss. He savored this. Thank you, Rosa. The two of them crouched alone in a corner, cherishing each other's warmth for as long as it lasted. The candle's wick expired and the room was plunged into darkness. Darling? Yes, Mother. I know it was hard. But all the same, I am grateful. Mother didn't sound spiteful or on edge this time. She was simply serene. Rosa got up, looking down at him one last time. What are you going to do now? I don't know. Whichever direction you head, I will be with you. I know you will, Mother. Your presence saved me, as it always does. You reminded me that nothing lost should be thrown away. Catherine, Guillemette, and you will always be with me. I am not alone. I am proud of you, my beautiful daughter. The first rays of light slipped past the window and touched her face. Rosa left the room to welcome the dawn. Damn, that was more upsetting than I thought it would be. Ooh. Ending to dawning, so it was the right one. I was just very confused. Like, seriously, this is just like written really well, and it just makes you think. Your main purpose is revenge. You opened the locket. You told Rosa that family is the most important thing. You wanted to read more of his journal. You didn't believe he could change. And you advised her to take the knife from the kitchen. I guess those are the ones that are the most important. Okay, so I will be back in a second when I've composed myself a bit more, and then we will do another ending. I will see you then. Bye.